One of the things that I always loved about handhelds in particular, and I guess this is one thing that I should also mention before getting into the games aspect of it, is that when I say handhelds, I don't even just mean handhelds. One of the things that I don't want to say that I don't like about modern handhelds, but one of the things that I miss about older handhelds is how portable they were. Because while yes, the Nintendo Switch, the Steam Deck, the ROG Ally, they are handhelds, but they're not portable. Even the Nintendo Switch, I'm sorry, unless you're wearing pants that are big enough to fit Jabba the Hutt, they're not going to fit in your pocket. Whereas something like a DS Lite, a PlayStation Vita back in the day, that could have fit in my pockets. And I could, when I'm going to my aunt's house, when I was going to my grandmother's house, when I was going to visit a friend, just tuck the DS Lite in my pocket, get to my friend's house, whip it out, Mario Kart, let's go. If I want to take my Switch somewhere, alright, let me get the carrying case, let me make sure that I got the game, yup, check, or you can just put it in the Switch before you leave, grab the Joy-Cons, maybe a Pro Controller, maybe a spare pair of Joy-Cons, just in case, it's one of those situations where we got multiple people there, maybe grab the headphones, shove it in the Switch case there. Some people don't like the way that the Switch feels in the hands, gotta grab the third-party PDP grip, do I got my Joy-Con comfort grip, or just the standard Joy-Con plastic grip, whatever you fancy. And don't get me wrong, I know that's the point of the Switch, it's not necessarily trying to be a pocketable handheld, it's just trying to be a handheld, portable handheld that can either be docked in console mode or it could just be used as a handheld. But again, I love the Nintendo Switch. One of my favorite consoles of all time. Absolutely amazing system, amazing games. Love the Nintendo Switch. It's phenomenal. But I do miss the portable aspect of the handhelds, where I know my PS Vita is sitting in a Switch case right now, but if I wanted to pocket this thing, I could. Another thing that I miss about these, dedicated handhelds where they're only handheld devices is how we had games where they were clearly trying to emulate console experiences. And, they did it rather well. Like, look at Super Mario Advance on the GBA, for example. That is literally just the SNES Mario games, as well as some of the NES ones, but on GBA. Well, I guess technically they all were the SNES ones. Like, even though you had games like Mario Bros. 2 and 3 there, they were the Super Mario All-Stars version, which were technically from the SNES. So, still, again, fun fact, by the way, the GBA is actually a 32-bit system, which means, in theory, it could run PS1 games if it had more power, because it's the same, bit architecture. So, I always just thought that was funny, because obviously we only ever saw, 16-bit looking games on there, but that's why it was quite possible for there to be some 3D games on the system that were, technologically speaking, probably a bit more advanced than what you might have even seen on, the SNES at the time. Obviously, that was far and few between, but still, we had some rather advanced games on the GBA. Advanced games on the GBA, I did not try that. That was totally accidental. But anyway, and that goes for the PlayStation Vita. You have games like PlayStation All-Stars, Sly Cooper Thieves in Time, where they were literally just PS3 games on the PlayStation Vita, and they worked phenomenally well. Resident Evil Revelations 2, Borderlands 2, The Amazing Spider-Man, the list goes on, and then you have games that, you had collections of games on here. You had Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 for the HD collection, the Ratchet & Clank collection, the Sly Cooper collection, the God of War collection, the list goes on and on. There were so many amazing collections on this system. Yet despite the fact that it was really fun to play those console experiences on the go, which is kind of like what you get with the Nintendo Switch nowadays, where you have the choice of either playing it on the go or at home, you also had those dedicated handheld games where they just felt like they were designed for a handheld. Because as much as I love the Switch, as much as I love the pick up and play nature of the handheld, it's one of those things where game developers have to make their games, for the most part anyway, when you're playing a Nintendo Switch game, those games are designed with console in mind, and if they're a Switch exclusive for some reason, whether they be indie or third party or whatever, and even if they are designed for the Switch, more likely than not, they're going to be designed in the traditional fashion where, you're going to be expected just to be playing it as a normal console video game, and there's a chance that you might take it on the go. Whereas when you look at a game on the PS Vita, the 2DS, the DS Lite, the PSP, while yes, there was a lot of games that were still trying to emulate that console experience, but, they were still making it with the handheld in mind. So going back to what we're talking about with Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified, while that wasn't just trying to be a straight up port like what we were talking about before with Super Mario All-Stars or Sly Cooper Thieves in Time or all the other collections where it's just console game but on the go, again, Black Ops Declassified, you had something that was trying to get close to that but was still trying to be a handheld game at its core. So you had some of those stripped back elements like Nuke House rather than Nuke Town. That's why the TDMs in that game are only, a fraction of the length of what you would see on the normal console version, because on the normal console versions of Call of Duty, this match can go anywhere from maybe 7 to 10 minutes at most, but on the handheld version, you're looking at 4 to 6, 7 minute matches, maybe tops.